So you have a topic and a research question ready to go. Now it is time to start actually looking up research. Why do we do research before we begin studying or answering our research question? In order to know how best to answer our question, it is a good scientific process to examine what research has already been published on the topic first. Let me explain why that is. In media research, you will find that there are more things considered evidence to help you back up the various claims you make. However, regardless of the style of methodology you use to answer your research question, you still want to begin with examining what already exists on the topic. This is where the literature review comes in. For a quick definition, a literature review is a summary of the research that is relevant to your topic. While research on your specific topic may not exist in plain sight, there is still research that exists in close relation to the aspects of your topic. So maybe you cannot find much or anything on the topic of Erzod's experiences at Epcot, but if you break down the elements here of your topic, you can build those little pieces up as foundational review. Think like Legos. Maybe you do not have all orange bricks to build your house. In this sense, the bricks represent your topic. However, you do have some red and yellow in there. And what do those colors make? You got it, orange. So you still built a house with Legos, you just had to take a different path to get there. So maybe I cannot find direct research on Erzod in Epcot specifically, but I can find research on Epcot and research on Erzod's experiences separately. I would then use that literature that I find to build up an argument on how those two things work together. And because I could not find direct research on my topic put together, I have identified a major component of the research, the gap in the literature. If you cannot find research on your exact topic, then that does not mean it is a bad thing. Actually, quite the opposite. It means you have found a gap in literature. It means you have something to contribute by doing this research project, and that's a good thing.
Suppose that a researcher is searching for academic articles about comic books and feminism during the civil rights movement, but can't seem to find any that connect all of these topics. After searching multiple databases, they find several articles about feminist comic books and others about feminism during the civil rights movement, but none that put these topics in conversation with each other. The researcher has identified a research gap, or in other words, a research topic which has not been addressed.
If you do find things on your topic, then your next step is to find the gap. So what is missing? What is unclear? The funny part about topics with a lot of research, there is so much that sometimes there are warring factions or contradictory results, so the end result is quite unclear. It's almost like Research of Thrones. So are you house video games lead to violence, or house video games bring out violence that was already there, or house video games are catharsis? This is why looking at more than one source on a topic is important. By looking at just one side, you run into the logical fallacy of stacking the deck. If your topic has different sides, make sure you address all of them in your literature review. The purpose of the literature review is to show you have done your research on the topic. That's why professors lean so heavily on them as assignments. What better way to measure that you understand a topic than by literally doing the research on the topic? So that is all why we want to do literature reviews. But how do we actually do them? If you're a student, your librarians are your new best friends. The library and its people are there to help you with this. And if you're a college student, guess what? You're paying for the library and its services in your tuitions and fees, so use it. If you are prepared to go rogue, though, and are ready to become research pros yourself, then let's start with where to go. I'm going to shock you here probably. The first place to look, Wikipedia and Google. Okay, stay with me here. Wikipedia is not the demon it once was. It is now serving a purpose as a moderately useful living encyclopedia. Yes, anyone can add information on there, but that does not mean the information is going to stay there. The info on Wikipedia is heavily gatekept, meaning the sources, and trying to be reliable non-biased sources specifically, need to be referenced in order to stay on there. This comes with its own issues, but for a starting point on research, check out Wikipedia because it can provide you with an overview of the topic and potentially current arguments and criticisms. Better yet, there's also a handy-dandy references page at the end. This is important. For your literature review, do not cite Wikipedia. Instead, use this as a starting point and begin the examination through direct sources that people are actually referencing on the page. This is especially good for popular sources. But what about those scholarly sources that you're required to use? Here, let's turn to Google as a starting point. Google Scholar, or scholar.google.com, provides a general list across multiple disciplines. Is this exhaustive? No. That's why we have so many different databases, but Google Scholar is a good start here because it allows you to see things from multiple lenses that you wouldn't if you were just on the nursing database or the communication database. Much like Wikipedia, it's not perfect and comes with its own issues, but this is a great starting point to find academic scholarly sources. Better yet, check this out. You can actually link your school library to your Google account, so when you do find a great source on Google Scholar, you can directly link to your library website to either get access to the article or book or take you right to the interlibrary loan page at your school, and it even fills out some of the information for you. Important side note here, you are going to come across things that ask you to pay for them. If you're a student, remember me saying you already are paying for the library and your tuition fees? Here it is again. If our library does not have it, request it through interlibrary loan. They're relatively quick on getting you that source, though I do highly recommend my next advice before directly requesting anything. When you conduct your research, you want to consider two things: search terms and abstracts. Search terms are what guide you to specific literature. Boolean operators are conjunction words that aid in your search. These are words like and, or. This helps a search engine determine what it gives you as results.
When creating a search in an online resource, the words or, and not are useful operators for combining your concepts for your search strategy. This will lead to more relevant results. Combining terms with or will give you more results. The search adolescence or teen or youth will find any of these words in the articles. Combining terms with and will give you fewer results. The search adolescence or teen or youth and Australia will find at least one word from each concept.
If you're doing research on ersatz and Epcot, try typing the terms ersatz and, in capital letters, Epcot to see what comes up. If nothing or little is happening, then try using the term or. Just be sure, like I said, to capitalize the or and the and so that the search engine recognizes them as Boolean operators. Also, pro tip, do not type your entire research question in the search bar. Just use keywords on your topic. Otherwise, you're going to get all sorts of nonsense. Next thing to consider there is the abstract. These are quick paragraphs to read to help you determine if a source fits what you are doing and if it will be useful. No need to read every single thing you come across. No, nobody's got time for that. Not all of it will be relevant, and for some of you, your literature review assignment may actually have specific page or word limits or even source limits. So make sure that you are choosing wisely what you read. If you determine a piece is good from the abstract, but you do not have access through your library, here is when to request from your interlibrary loan. No need to inundate unnecessary work when something won't be useful. All right, now we're to the finish line here. Let's write that literature review. This comes with three things: providing accurate citations for your references page, shorthanding that source when you reference it in your paper using something called in-text citations, and building your argument. Let's start at the argument, actually. What a lot of people do not realize is that a literature review is just like an argument paper. You are making claims and you are backing them up with evidence. Where the literature review and annotated bibliography sometimes get mixed up is here. In a literature review, you are not focusing on one individual source per paragraph like you would in an annotated bib. Instead, you are noticing patterns of research and defining what that means and what different sources say on that subtopic. For ersatz and Epcot, I would have a section devoted to defining ersatz. In this sense, you're conceptualizing your variables and your components. Telling what your research is about, and then closing that section out with how it fits my overall project. So follow this pattern when writing sections of your literature review. Define the concept or the variable, overview the research, Connect to the research question and topic. If you can do this, your literature reviews will become much stronger. Just remember that your audience does not want to read other people's words. They came to read what you have to say, so use quotes sparingly, particularly in qualitative and quantitative reports. When writing critical or rhetorical research, quotes are more acceptable, but should still be limited more to your unique voice. And remember that paraphrasing is more than just changing a word here or there.
Of course, quotes are extremely useful and often a basic requirement when you're writing a paper. With this in mind, try not to go overboard with it and only use it in the following cases. Number 1, focusing on language. Let's say you're writing a paper about the novels of a modernist author. In this case, you probably have to quote frequently in order to analyze their language and style. Number 2, giving evidence. To convince the readers of your argument, interpretation, or your position on a topic, you should include quotes that support your point. Number 3, presenting an author's position or definition. You can quote to show that your point is supported by an authority on a topic or to critique a position that you disagree with. For example, you found a sentence that perfectly sums up a theory of your topic, so you quote the author before elaborating on your understanding of that theory.
Okay, we've reached the end. Literature reviews are a big deal in any type of research. We need to know what others have found already to make sure we highlight our own credibility as researchers. So start those searches, read those abstracts, and compile that research so you can start writing and move on to the next step, regardless of which research path you take. For now, I'm Dr. Waggoner. I'll see you back here when we start to discover qualitative research. Go forth and enjoy your day.